Yes. Welcome to You're On in 5, The Art of Understudying.
The only podcast to celebrate the work of actors in understudy roles.
Understudying demands tons of preparation with minimal rehearsal.
Or sometimes none at all.
But it can end in triumphant glory.
In these conversations, we will amplify the diverse voices of actors who have understudied. We want to hear about the actor's technique, experience, and journey.
As well as whatever's on our mind that day.
Hi, I'm Scott Sava. Welcome to You're On in 5, The Art of Understudying. You might know me from, if you were a child at the Northside Academy where I substitute teach sometimes.
And I am Elana, and you might know me from the time I belly crawled at that cemetery by Target, and then the police lights shone right on me crawling out of the cemetery.
And our guest today is Darren Jones, who you might know from Interrobang Theater Project's production of The Spin by Spencer Davis, which Elana and I were both in as well.
Oh, that's why you picked that one. I'm like, you gotta take the time. We ain't even see the man to say we might know him from there.
I could have said the heavens were hung in black.
Of all the things.
Yeah.
That's all right. I mean,
Online,
the connection.
Connection, yeah.
The connection makes sense. Welcome, Darren.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's nice to see you guys.
Nice.
What's going on in the world?
Well, our first question always is, what was your very first understudy job?
Now, I had to look this up because I am celebrating my 30th year on the stage, so it took me a minute to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah, they still let me go on. But I found that my first one was a play called The Rabbit Foot. Now, I don't remember it pretty well. I actually remember understudying it more so than the show itself. I remember going through the process. So I don't remember how the show was, but I remember that being my first understudy assignment. I think that was back in the very late 90s or the early 2000s. Yeah, so I'd probably done maybe 6 or 7 shows by then. So it was an honor to be part of the cast then. It was a great experience. I do remember. Don't remember the show too well, but I remember the process.
Well, tell us a little bit about the process, like especially with that being your first. Like, what do you remember about your first understudy process and stuff?
What I do remember is that I didn't know I didn't have to come every day, so I was there every day. Because I just was that enthusiastic. But I just remember in this process. Being involved. I say that because in other processes, I found that I wasn't too involved in the whole thing. But in this one, it was just being involved. You were part of the cast until the show came up. So there was, you just felt involved. You rehearsed every day with the cast. I think it was a small cast at that time, so we were able to do that. And it was a different kind of story. I can't remember what it was, but it was a different kind of story. It wasn't a message story. It was a real story, and I remember that part of it. And remember going through the process, like being a part of every day, step by step, until the time came to come on stage. And so I was ready to come on stage in that one.
Did you ever get to go on?
I was ready.
Did you get to go on during that one or no?
Oh no, I didn't go on during that one. And I don't even believe we had I guess that's an understudy performance. I don't remember anything like that, but I see that that's a thing that's come on now, and that's a pretty nice incentive,
Yeah. Do you remember anything about it sounds like the director had a really inclusive attitude towards the understudies. was there what was like the relationship like between you and your overstudy, if you remember that?
Hmm. Not too clearly, but I do remember it being. I think that's where I got the phrase being a giving actor. Um,
Mm.
Somebody that's a giving actor on the other side of you. And so he was. I don't remember who it was. I knew it was. I'd say that's 25 years ago. I have no
Yeah.
idea. But
Yeah.
but I do remember it being just open. Um, that every night he got a chance to do the role, and then I got a chance to do the role, and it wasn't just a lot of sitting back. And I guess that's why I was there every day. I didn't know I wasn't supposed to be there every
Right,
day.
because they
I
were
was ready to
including
perform
you.
every day,
Right.
Yeah. Did they
and
just
I was
kind of like
told by a very good actress that um, to put your all into the rehearsals. I learned a lot from her on that rehearsal. You rehearse like you act. And those are the things that come up in those times when you know you're not going to be on stage, but you still have to learn the process and learn the character and learn the story and be ready.
Yes.
That sounds like were they like kind of rotating you in and out with with the principal?
I believe I think it was that the part was it wasn't a major part, so it was small enough. It was an insertion type of part, so it was small enough that it wouldn't interrupt the flow for us to come in and out. And I don't know if they had a. And this was they were everybody was young in this one. Everybody, the director, the writer, everybody was so young, and so we didn't know how it was supposed to be, but he made it feel that's how he wanted it to be. Just wanted everybody to be ready. So that was his process, and I didn't know anything different.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a great intro to that side of the curtain. What was your next one? Like what, you don't necessarily have to go in order, but like what is just kind of an outstanding experience either way, like, positive or needing improvement.
Well, I didn't really get a lot of understudy offers until I was doing maybe about 8 or 9 shows. But then when those times would come, it was really the person I was understudying. And it happened when I was early in my career. So understudying people like Anthony Irons or or Ron Connor or people like that, when I'm still learning the ropes, was is a class that you really can't buy, or sit for, and so those experiences are the things that pushed me. One of my first experiences playing a gay character was an understudy role, and and that was a chance for me to get comfortable with being outside of my box, doing something different, something that wouldn't come to me normally, I guess. But it came as a challenge, and we did get to do that as a production. Understudy production, but that was opening up a whole new side of to me to put in public, and that was it was empowering. It let me know
Yeah.
that I can really, I got a little range.
Yeah.
And it was a story called Four at Jackalope Theater, and it was just well produced, and again the atmosphere,
Hmm.
the atmosphere in making understudies, just part of the whole process, and that was another case of something like that happening.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that.
I got a chance to do my first performance at Goodman was an understudy role in Carlisle right here, and
Yeah.
I got a chance to understudy a great actor, Tim Rose, and he's running the Fleetwood Jourdain Theater out in Evanston, where I did my first 6 shows. That's where I started. So that
Yeah.
connection,
Yeah, that's
so
fantastic.
so
I
so many
know
things happening,
Tim.
behind the scenes and underlying, and to get that kind of teachings, those kind of lessons, those kind of insight, that kind of insight. Those are the kind of things that come. Those are the pluses that come with understudy.
yeah, and knowing how to carry those lessons into, and you're like answering it at every turn. One of my general the question one of the questions I tend to ask is there anything specifically learned during understudying that you've taken into your roles as principals? But like it seems like you're really like locked in to the things that the ways you've grown as an understudy and how
Oh yeah.
that feeds into your performances. But like if you do have more to say about that, that'll be
Oh
interesting.
yeah, well, yeah, I mean, you every chance to get on stage, either on, take a slice of ham, what the,
Yeah.
and so it's like, and I wasn't a school taught actor. I was compelled. I was pulled into it. I was supposed to change the world through computers and Steve Jobs and all those type of things. And so to have this kind of outlet and to be and like I said, you might not. It's not about getting the part. It's really like being in the atmosphere. It's being in the company of the others and learning from. I mean, you get to be with directors you might not be with, if you didn't get the part, but because they thought of you in a way that they didn't want you to be a part of this process, you have to take that as positive. It's only positive.
That's true. That's good for people to hear. I hope that it's being clocked because we often think that we're understudies because we weren't the first choice for this or that reason versus the gift of being part of it and being trusted with the role. Like if you have to go on, like they should be choosing actors that they know can handle the work and are excited to be involved. So I like that
I mean,
you've
it's the
said
most
that, and I
demand.
hope.
It's so demanding. I mean, there's so much solitude in it. There's everybody isn't as open as those examples that I've had. I've had situations where it's like, listen, learn the lines and be ready when we need you. And that's a challenge also. It's very much a challenge when sometimes when you're called on and you're not ready, and you learn so much from those things too.
Would you like to tell us about a time you weren't
Yeah.
ready, Darren?
I don't know if I should tell you about a time because I think it's archived and they might have some kind of some kind of evidence of it.
Oh
But I
no.
just know that there's a I mean, like, you learn through the process. Sometimes it takes a long while, but you take on what you can chew, you know, and it's a learning to say no sometimes too, and that's something that you have to learn how to do, and hopefully you get time enough in this industry to be able to get those opportunities, and now to do an understudy, it would be a big thing because I'm expecting a lot of it right now. From If I'm doing an understudy role, I'm going to get something great out of this. There's a reason I'm going into this, and it might be the people, it might be the director, it might be the venue, it might be the possibility of who's going to see it, the response. There's many incentives to taking an understudy job, but I tell you, it's a lonely existence sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is has have you noticed any changes over like the last like 20 years in terms of attitudes towards understudying or the ways that understudies are prepared for the role?
I know that in the last 2.5 years, the understudies have been the backbone of the Chicago theater industry
Yeah.
because of sickness and ability and the preparedness that these the understudies that I've worked with in the last several shows, and like I said, over the past couple of years, even online, there's a preparedness. There's a definite. I said it before. It's a upshot on the need and the use of an understudy. Now understudies can pretty much expect to do a show. They will give them a show, and I don't know if that's it's not rampant, but it is out there, and And that's a very good thing. I think that's a very good thing to let somebody know that they're going to be able to get on the big stage, on the main stage. It's a great incentive.
Yeah,
So yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, a strategy we have used and intend to keep is having the understudy performance right after opening, right? So that they know, so that they're definitely ready and feel good about if they should have to go in later in the run, so they go on like very soon after opening, and then we can keep working with them throughout, but like that jolt and knowing that they're gonna have to go on, it kind of it helps, I think, because it doesn't leave room for them to not be prepared. But we as a company have to be, ready to support and help them get ready too, so it's kind of twofold. I think it's gonna work great as long as we keep our cast small, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's conditions. There's always conditions.
Right, exactly.
Always conditions. But yeah, that's one of the advents that has come about, is that you're not just going to be in the background on a production. You're going to be counted on. Uh, the last few shows I did, big cast. Hamlet had 16 people in it, and the other one had 12 people in it, and some of us were older. Things happen. Deaths in families and sickness and things like that, and times when you can't make it, and the show must go on, and the understudies are the glue. They're the freaking glue. And just knowing, I've seen some great understudy performances the last couple of months, some great ones, and it's just been amazing. So yeah, the glue,
Yes.
and that's what's changed. A little more involved. Um, it's not just the extra. I don't even know. Sometimes I remember a time where they didn't really put them into the playbills, unless they were going to perform that night. you know.
Yeah, that's
So to see
right.
those type, that was, like I'm going back a few years, but so things like that, showcasing them, showcasing the understudy, the wonder studies, as we all have talked about, you know.
Yes.
And I've been appreciative, to be one. And like I said, you learn from your mistakes. Well, I was unprepared, and I was just unprepared. They gave me plenty of time. They had nothing to do with it. I learned so much from that one.
I love that. I love that it's
and,
just still
and,
like
and I tell you, it is the scariest thing up there. It's the scariest thing
Yeah.
when you can't change But we got through it though. The show went on, and it
yes,
was a
yes.
decent show. But we all know we're never satisfied.
Right. There is that. It is terrifying though.
And I've never really felt any kind of competition type thing. I don't know if you've heard anything like that, but
Like,
in my experiences, it hasn't been. I don't think anybody's hitting any legs or breaking any ankles to get on stage.
Well, that's good. We've heard a little bit, not a lot in that regard, but a little bit of
Uh-huh.
the just like the principals over studies not being very supportive. Like there's like some tinges of competition or whatever, but of all of our interviews, we probably heard something along those lines, like maybe three times. Um, and so that's really good. I want to ask you, as you were all up in computers, like where did this occur? Where did this change occur? Where did your path shift, and what was that all about?
Um, I wish it was a spectacular story, but I've told it a few times. People have heard it a lot. People will probably tell you now that I'm going through my historical record. But I was dating my ex-wife, my fiance, and we after church one night on one Sunday, Fleetwood Jourdain was, they were polling the churches in the area for the chorus for their play that they were doing. I forget what it was. I believe it might be Bubbling Brown Sugar or something like that. It was a musical.
Hmm.
And so after church, I had just gone, accompanied her to the theater, because I was, I was doing wooing and cooing, so I was all up on her, I go there with you, I go there with you. And so we were talking in the a bunch of people from different churches came in. I was meeting people, and I was talking in the hallway. It was an old school, like, how the sound is in the hallway. And apparently my voice was carrying. And so out of the auditorium, the director came out and said, "Who's that talking out here?" And somebody saying, "I don't know who that is. I don't know what's this." And I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." He said, "That's the voice I heard." He said, "You hear the audition?" I'm like, "No, I'm just here with my girlfriend. I'm not here." We said, "Come in and read." I said, "I've never read anything before." So I walked in, and I got Howard Benedict's, I guess that was the All About Eve play. What was that? But anyway, I got a principal role on my first shot out. And the first time I got paid, I remember it because it was actually exactly 30 years ago this month when we opened. And I measured that by my daughter because she was born in the same month. So that's how long I've been. But yeah, it was just an accident like that. So we went through the run. I went through a few rehearsals, and I got on stage, and I couldn't believe I was there. And when I messed up big. I didn't know how to mess up. I didn't know how to, to make an error. If I'd understudied before then, I would have been more prepared. But they just put me on stage. I'm like, dude. But after that, they were, planning the next show, and they asked me if I wanted to be a part of that. And I said, sure. And so I did about 4 or 5 shows there. And I said, this must be some kind of, thing. Let me go out here and see if anybody else, think that I can do this. And so I went to audition at other places, and I started getting parts. I was like, well, okay, I guess this is something to do, And plus, I was enjoying myself and meeting and learning. I'm a student, and that's how I fell into it. And I just started auditioning, and then one day I was like, I was DJing a party at a condominium on Sheridan Road, and Damon Wayans came into the party and sat down next to the DJ, and I started talking to him, and he was like, "Well, I'm coming back into Chicago next year. We're going to shoot a movie here." I'm like, "Cool." So a year came by, and they were shooting Mo Money. So I stuck my picture in, and I got into Mo Money,
What?
And so I was like, well, wait a minute. So I got to follow this up now. I mean, it was just happening like that, It was just a happenstance. And then so I just did theater all night. I did theater for 10 to 20 because I had to work every day. I had a little girl, and the picket fence, and the and all that, the garage and all that stuff. So I had to pay for that crap. So I was working until my daughter graduated from college, and then I went full time. Wow. And then I started doing some movies and some TV and stuff, and left the corporate world, and people still talk to me.
That's good.
So that's how it happened. Nothing spectacular. I wasn't discovered nowhere, and apparently not, because you're talking to me here,
But hold on, that is a discovery story. It is kind of spectacular. You was just minding your business, trying to be a good, trying to, get that good, right? And so
gave me the greatest gift in the world.
And then, everything about that story is actually spectacular. I don't know what you think spectacular is.
And now it's 60 shows later, and then in the wake, I meet people like you from time to time, and those are the blessings of doing it. And plus, it's an outlet.
Yeah.
Let me be somebody else for a couple of hours, please. And like I said, the understudy thing, I haven't done it in a while. The last one I understudied was I understudied Guess Who's Coming to Dinner at the Court Theater. Yeah. And that was just a tremendous show. And it was just nice being part of that one. Those are one of those things, like, I just want to be in the room or a fly on the wall, Totally. And if I get an opportunity to do it, that's just some icing on the cake, Yeah. Ron O.J. Parson was the director, great actors. I mean, After it doesn't matter how long you've been in it. You take those opportunities when they come to you. Never know when they're going to pay off for you.
Yeah.
That director remembered that. Yeah, he hung in there in that an understudy role. I already saw him work. Those pay off later.
Did you ever go on for that one?
No, we didn't. We did a. The people were too sturdy. They were just a sturdy bunch of actors. They wasn't giving up any of that stage. It was a great show, and I don't blame them at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just turned out that way.
They did have an understudy performance for that one.
Yeah, they had it was in-house. It wasn't to the public.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't for the public, so.
How many times do you think you've understudied in your career?
I was looking over my well-worn resume here, and I see I've got about 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got about 9 times I've understudied. It's probably more than that. There are about 9 of them I can remember actually, going through the process and meeting the people and being in a new venue. About 9 times. Yeah.
Nice. Were any of them, did you ever have an instance where you had to go on with very short notice?
That was that one I was talking about. You know that one?
Oh, the one that you don't really want to talk about, but the one that you want to talk about.
I mean, you have to, take the scenario. The scenario was I was at a rehearsal at the DePaul Theater School for another show. And they had just mentioned to me weeks ago that we might need you to understudy, take this script and, we trust that you'll read over it. And I'm like, well, there's no chance they're going to need me. They're not even, enthusiastic. They're just, covering their back. So I'm rehearsing another show and I get a call on the phone that we need you at the theater in 2 hours.
Wow.
On a snowstorm. And that was on the south side, 7,000 south. So I had to get there in a snowstorm on the bus and try to learn the lines. And so it was an amazing, you just don't know magic when it's happening. And it was an amazing ad-libatory performance. I knew what the story was, and I knew what he would say. It wasn't exactly the same words, but I knew what he was saying and meaning in that moment. And I was just hoping to get to a cue line from my poor fellow castmates.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Yeah. So I've been thrown into the fire, unprepared as much as I was.
Here's something that occurs to me. As a principal, an overstudy, have you had the opportunity to arrange an absence, versus you being sick or an emergency and having an understudy? Have you gone into a production knowing that you were gonna be out and then your understudy knowing that and being prepared to go on for you?
No, I'm trying to think about no, there's no time that I was thrown in with a couple of days notice. No, that just hasn't happened in my instance.
Yeah, I find that the only time my understudy has gone on in my entire career was prearranged. Right? I've never, there was one instance where the show was remounted. I was actually working the show that made me need the understudy to go on was a show at Fleetwood Day, right? So I had, we had done a successful run, and then they decided to remount it almost a month later, but I was already in another process. And so right. I wasn't the only one that had conflicts, right? So that happened, and she knew every time she was going to go on because I was going to be in Evanston. And then another time I had a wedding. And I knew, and so that, but no understudy has ever had to go on for me in an emergency situation. And I just thought of that.
But I have had the instance where the company had an extension and I wasn't able to do the extension. And so those are the kind of things that are in the contracts now. And that's why understudies have become more popular, because you have to commit to them, and if you're going to have them commit to them, most times or sometimes they're giving up something else, especially to do an understudy role. So, yeah, that kind of situation. Where they have an extension. So now it's like when you do the contract, your contract says you're there for the extension unless you have the the remunerative clause or something like that. And so yeah, and so yeah, that's an addition to a contract. That's a contractual thing now. And so if you're going to keep somebody, you hire them for that, and you have to. I guess they have to put a limit on the extension or something like that, or sometimes it doesn't go on forever, or that understudy is going to become the star because the star can't do the show anymore. So in the extension, you have to do it, and if you can't do every show, there's situations, things like that do come up. But now they can fix that with contracts, I guess.
Yes, yes.
And blackballing. There's no blackballing in theater, not at all.
Right.
Darren, I wanted to ask you, you were in ChiRaq, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What was it like working with Spike Lee?
Well, it was, the experience on the feature film set in my own little neighborhood down the street where I did all the filming was just amazing. It was amazing. Working with Spike Lee, it was great. It was a great experience. I don't know. I've always said this. I don't know if I didn't click with him like I thought I would.
Sure.
I didn't click with him, but it was an experience. Things happened. It was a living, breathing set. Nothing was like set in stone. Things were creative. Just because it was planned doesn't mean we can't do it, type of thing. Yeah, they barbecued my meals every day. I got SAG pay. It was great.
Nice. Yes.
As opposed to the independents where those, baskets of, Frito-Lays in the corner. Shoot, the whole feature film experience. That's where I met all my stars. I worked with Angela Bassett and Sam Jackson and little Nick Cannon.
Yeah.
It was just the greatest experience in the world. It was great to do it in Chicago. I wish more people would have took a hold of it, and I understand completely why they didn't, because I couldn't grasp a whole lot of it either. But it was great. Oh man, it was just a great creative. It was just, it was just live. It was alive. It was alive. It was in the summertime. Stuff was happening in the city. He had been here a couple of years before he did the show, to check out the city to see what was going on. I love the South Side. The South Side was featured in this. Saint Sabina. I went to the meetings. Not just the movies, but they had little community meetings and things in the neighborhood, and those were the things you went out and met with the people and things like that. And these people in your same neighborhood, they were like, oh, I was like, yeah, y'all just see people don't know what you're doing sometimes. You don't know you got people right next door to you, trying to make a difference or trying to do some good. And it was in the neighborhood. And at my two favorite places, the DuSable Museum, Washington Park and the South Shore Country Club, where I do my golfing at. So I was just at home. It was so at home. My experiences was different than everybody else's because it wasn't my story, but it was a story of my neighborhood. Because even though I'm in the midst of all that, I didn't live that life. I didn't live a life of guns, But my neighbor lives a life of guns, and every place I went lived a life of guns. But that wouldn't be my story, and I understand why people didn't grasp on it. But it was something else, man. It was great. The people who were coming in, Oscar winners. I had the lady who did the Black Panther costume do my little costume, So that's my little connection with it, and just to have that experience. I haven't had it again, but it's something that I strive for. That was something. It was something. It was great. The premiere, I had a play on the premiere day, so I was doing a play at ETA. As soon as that play was over, I had to rush rushed to the Chicago theater, and I got there late and missed a lot of it. But the theater, you have to tell the story first. It was a Sunday afternoon, so at this, we were doing the play. What was this play? Oh, Repairing the Nation, about the Tulsa riots. That's one of the first plays that was talking about the Tulsa riots that got out there. So, and the premiere was great. And I showed up on the screen. It wasn't the first time because I had done More Money, but I was up there only for 3 seconds. This one I had words, I was a principal. And I was a principal. I wasn't an extra, I had a trailer, It was the greatest. It was really great. I really blessed with what happened there. I wish it was a better movie. They could have took some things out. But there were some things in there that was just absolutely great. It was absolutely South Side. That was absolutely Chicago. And that's what I dug about it.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, sometimes the experience trumps the product.
Yeah. Oh, most definitely. And then your levels. It's like you got your lot theaters and your mid-size, and then you got your independents, feature films. I notice a difference what those are now.
Right.
But that was it was a good movie. Good movie. Done a few other movies in Chicago, but that was my biggest. That's the biggest thing I've done, pretty much. Yeah.
That's awesome. That sounds like a dream.
We're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk to you some more.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's take a little break.
Yeah.
Hey.
And
we're back.
Hey.
We are back with Darren Jones, and now it's time for the breakdown. And our question for this week is, have you ever had a showmance? And how'd it go?
This is quite disappointing, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, no!
That's okay. We got some follow-ups if the answer is no. We got some follow-ups.
So I don't know, because I was married all the time, and I was one of those loyal type of guys.
Oh, that's good.
What can I say? But I do have my my theater wife and my stage crush and my backbone to the theater. Yes, so you can call that a manse of some kind of sort. And she is still behind my back to this very day, helping me out, helping each other out, trying to get these parts, reading over these Zooms, reading lines to each other, and luckily being able to see a few shows of each other's lately. So, and the great thing about this one is, this one started back when I started in the very beginning at my first theater, and it's still today.
Oh, that's awesome. Is it a secret?
Oh, no, Renee Lockett. Renee Lockett is my theater wife.
Yes.
No,
That's
it ain't no
awesome.
secret. Oh, no, it ain't no secret. I just shout it out as much as I can.
That's what's up. That's a prop before we get to the prop segment.
Oh,
for
she's
sure.
another one that's on South Side. She's She's got a good part on South Side.
Yeah, that's Dorothy. Yeah, she's been there from the very beginning for me. Back at Fleetwood in Evanston. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So so we know these things happen. Have you bore witness to any, or have you been in a cast where there was one and then there was fallout, from it ending or anything? You've just been skating through, escaping all the nonsense.
No, I don't. I am a skilled performer at avoiding bull's crap. I am very skilled at that. No, I really haven't experienced any. I'm not in that realm of theater for me. I know you got a few people who can act a fool, but
Right.
but
that should have been our question of the week.
Yeah, I've had a couple of people go off, for no apparent reason, or for egotistical reasons, or for other reasons like that. But no, that's it's only happened a couple of times, and when it happened, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's so I'm one of those boring. I just came for the work.
I love it. That's so much better. I
Yes.
I'll wait. Scott, what about you in Showmances? What's your experience?
I really shouldn't have suggested this question because I do, I do have some experience with this. I had my first showmance was like 2009. I mean, I've maybe only had two. Yeah, happened to me.
Maybe.
But I mean, the first one, and like ended up being a 2.5-year relationship, so that was awesome. That was great. No regrets there. And that was a long run too. We were in the we
Is that the
ran
show
from-
or the relationship?
I mean, that is my longest run as a relationship or as a show. So yeah.
Okay.
In 2009, and we opened in like June, and I think we closed in like September. And we were at the Chopin Theater, which is awesome. Maybe I shouldn't say this. I get crushes. It's not good. And like, and I'm shy and avoidant enough that like it doesn't ever get past that. But like, yeah, I mean, 'cause actors are so charismatic, and you see sometimes the best sides of ourselves when we're performing. So it's very easy to fall in love with somebody when they're acting opposite you, especially if it's a romantic thing. Okay. So.
Oh, some clarity I hear. I hear some clarity here.
Okay, so there was one where, and no names, but it was a romantic show. And there was a person that I was opposite, and I knew him before we did the show, and we didn't have any kind of spark or anything like that. Once we did the show, though, we did have some kissing and some intimacy in the show, and I got a bad crush. I got a real bad crush, and I asked him out after we closed. Thank God. I mean, it's good that I waited until after we closed. It was like a 4-show run, but
So, okay, yeah,
not that much time.
Yeah, what patience you have.
Right. Some real restraint right there, bud.
Real restraint.
Yeah, and here's the thing: he was so sweet because we were really close doing that show together, and he was very sweet to like actually go out with me, and then like again, after like 3 hours of us like I don't know, we went mini golfing or something like that, and like at the very end, because I'm avoidant and I'm shy, I finally said, what if we like. Went out or something like that, like what if we, like, would you want to be my boyfriend or something like that? I probably didn't go that far. You don't go that far on the first question. Oh boy. And he was just like, and he was very sweet and honest with me. He was just like, nah, I don't feel that way about you, man. And it's just like, oh, okay. Yeah, this makes sense. Yeah. I mean, not that I'm unlovable, but obviously.
Oh, I wouldn't say that, God.
But that he is a very lovable person, and anybody could fall in love with him. And I mean, probably me too. But it just wasn't happening there like I thought maybe it could happen. And it was a bummer. But I got over it pretty quickly because I was able to kind of assign it to the relationship that we had created in the show rather than like this is the person I'm meant to be with forever. Yeah.
I'm glad you could sort through that, Scott.
The situational love. It's a situational love interest.
It took some processing with my therapist, but we got there.
Yeah, well, that's what they are for. Yes, that's what they are for.
I'll say I'm not opposed to a showmance. I had one that turned out really well, but I'm glad I waited until the show was done when I made that.
Yeah, smart move there.
That was good. Yeah. That would have been awkward.
Yeah, very much so.
More awkward.
Yeah. So especially doing scenes together. Yeah.
What about you, Ron?
I've had one that I can recall. See, I get a little confused because I'm very flirtatious, right? And but I think showmances are, especially when you do a lot of ensemble work, which I have, they're super incestuous, right? Like it feels weird. But I was doing 12 Angry Jurors. Okay. And this was a million years ago. I didn't even live in Chicago yet. I was still in Detroit. And the cast was like regular. It was just people. And I didn't feel particularly close to anybody or anything like that. But I remember like during the run, this guy who was, I think he was juror number 7. I was juror number 4. Now, juror number 4 is like the very no nonsense. Like in the movie, he's the guy with the glasses always reading the paper, right? And so I was just kind of like had that vibe going on. And it was around the time that juror number 7 is going to change his mind. And I just happened to glance up at this actor during this moment, and I can see him like so subtly change his mind. Right, like, but so he's not doing. He's just embodying the character, right? But when I look up and I see this happening, and I realize how talented this man is, right? Like, and all of a sudden, it was this whole new thing because I know that level of nuance is not always present. Right. And so for me, it represented a particular kind of depth or whatever, blah, blah. But it did, and it made me it made me want to watch him more. And so then I did start to watch him more and learn that he was watching me. Mm-hmm. And that also, first was my first and really only interracial relationship. It lasted 2.5 years, and we're still friends today. Like he's married now. They moved to Australia a couple years ago, like right before the pandemic. But yeah. So it's like he's the only, because I haven't really dated actors. And, some part of it is intentional. But I feel like I'd be open to it if there were ever like a real connection. But I don't really try to holla when I'm in a show. Like I don't vibe that way. So there are a lot of things with this cat, but it all started like with his talent, like me like clicking in, seeing his talent, and then just paying attention and be like, he's great. And so, but I did try really hard to not like escalate it until the show was over. Like we did, like I learned that he was interested. We did some flirting, some playfulness, like built it up, and then we started officially kind of seeing each other after the show closed. Oh. Two and a half.
Well, I just go to work. Plus
that's all you're supposed to do.
I was married during the time, and I was newly married. I got married the same year I had my first show. So, so I was, and 20 years later. Now I'm divorced. It's different now.
Well, I was about to say you were always involved. So wait, was it so it was the woman who took you to the show when you got started your career? That's who you were with all that time?
Yeah, we got married, had a kid, and did great. We actually did a show together, me and her and my daughter, who was 5 years old. We did Showboat together out in Wilmette at the Outdoor Theater for about 3 weeks. And that's the only show that my daughter has done. She didn't get the bug at all.
Yeah, that is precious.
Yeah, but that's. We'll see what happens now with the older crowd. Yeah. It's just never.
Let's see what happens now. So we're gonna check back in with a couple years. See how that's
going. I'm single now. Divorce is final. The ink is dry. and so I don't know how to use this singleness yet. So we'll see.
Maybe our stories will inspire you.
Maybe I'll have something to contribute next time, huh?
I did have one experience where I was dating a guy, and he was an actor, and I had never seen him perform before, and then I did, and he was not good, and I was not into him anymore after that. Just not at all.
Wow. Yeah, sometimes that's what I'm saying. Don't want to take them to work with you sometimes,
Right. Yikes. So how did it? I mean, did it crash and burn end, or like how did you end that?
No, it wasn't. It was more of a peter out type of thing. Again, avoidant, shy. So
convince me.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't really a serious thing anyway. Could have been if maybe he was a better actor, but
Isn't that something? Like I remember having this person wasn't an actor, but I met him at a party of an actor, and just really crushing so hard on this dude, and we were having a good time, and I took him to karaoke. And I'm pretty relaxed because I like dive bar karaoke, right? So the odds are everybody's not gonna be great, but they can be entertaining, have a good time. This guy was so bad. He was bad enough that I felt like he should have known he was bad and leaned into it and played with, but he took himself really seriously, and it was awful, and that's the last time I saw him.
Oh, wow.
It could have been so different if he had a beautiful voice.
Or not sang at all, what I mean?
I'm glad you didn't I'm glad you didn't find this out later.
Right.
I mean, that is an awful anvil to fall on somebody when you might when you might have something for them. That could just stopped everything, huh?
I hate to think that if I actually liked him, that I still would have been deuces because you can't sing. But we'll never have to find out.
We'll never know, You'll never know. It's a mystery among the ages.
Yes. All right. Is it? Oh, it's time for props.
Props.
Yes.
Nice.
Hey, all right. So in this section, we just give props to understudies you've seen kill it, stage managers, assistant directors, assistant stage managers, anybody in that realm who goes unsung.
Let's see. Not too good with remembering names, but there's a young lady who came over here from Medellin, Colombia a few years ago. Her name is Maria. She has one of those three names: Maria Clara Ospina. She is one of the most wonderful things that has stepped on the stage in the last couple of years. She is fresh. She is prepared. She is stage worthy. When she talks, you listen, and she came in on understudy sessions on two shows that I've done, Hamlet and what was the last show that we just did, Wellesley Girl. She came in and just killed. And that's what I mean about taking that responsibility of that role, like you're going to be on there every night. I always say thanks for the lesson sometimes when I see understudies. I like thanks for the lesson. Because, if I don't learn something new every day, if I don't learn something, I'm wasting my time. And I'm always a student. But I'm going to get her name right. Her name was Maria Clara. And if you don't know her now, you're going to hear about her. Because she's just a wonderful asset to the industry. And she came to Chicago. She's been there a couple of years. And she's just so natural. Understudies, I mean, all of them are great. I can't really pick out each one. I don't know. I haven't had a lot of understudies. I was so amazed at the level of understudy that I had on my show in Hamlet. This Chuck's, I could feel his last name, Chuck Monroe, veteran actor. It's, that's one of those rare situations where somebody is your understudy and he incentivizes you because you know the quality of the work that this person has done. I've seen him before, and he's done it for years. And to have him as an understudy was just a boost, just a boost, just to have that. And those are inspirational moments, it lets you know where you are too in your space, in your time, in your craft and things like that. The directors that I've gotten recently, a lot of the younger directors are very inclusive with the understudy thing. It's just when we're casting Othello, we're casting the understudy, as vigorously as we're casting the lead, and those are what the younger directors and artistic types are doing. I appreciate that. Like I said, the older ones, they were just saying, just make sure we have somebody just in case.
Right.
And this is a different attitude. This is a more respectful, more showcasey attitude towards. So it's very positive. Props, of course, to the one and only Philip Edward Van Leer, who was the first person who trusted me to say a few words, and Luther Goines, who was the man who heard my voice in that hallway and put me on stage. Luther and Philip Edward Van Leer are the reasons why I'm still doing this 30 years later. And of course, Renee, my partner, and there she is. She's been my stage wife in a couple of movies, lots of readings, and she came back. She was gone for a while, but she came back several years ago, and she hit the ground running. And so we're going to get our silver heads are going to do what we can while we out here.
That's right. That's right.
And right now I'm with Shattered Globe Theater Company and an ensemble member at Stage Left. And both of those companies are places I hope to advance and go forward as we come out of this pandemic and try to bring it back. And so those people who are trusting me, to be able to contribute, Sandy Shinner, who's one of the great artistic directors over there at Shattered Globe. Of course, ETA is where they gave me a chance to be Mr. Fine. Actually, the name was Mr. Fine. That was a few years ago when I was a little Mr. Fine. But it gave me a chance to stretch my legs over there, and especially being on the South Side where we need to have theater a little more robustly. And hopefully we'll do something about that soon. And all of you guys who I'm when I'm doing a reading and Elana comes out of a back room and that's just a bright spot, I didn't even know she was there. There's just moments. I'm living in the moments now. That was just a bright moment. She was on the run. She had no time for us. We still trying to figure out if we can wave or clap or hug or whatever. But just to have that sunshine sneak in there, on our way to moving clouds other places, this was just a nice thing.
Oh, thanks.
And so those are the things you take in hand. As I get older, I'm easily pleased.
It's the people, the connections. I remember that it was a delight to see y'all there. I didn't know y'all were there. I was like, what?
Yeah, being around creatives, just nice being around creatives, and then you pop your head in and beam that sunshine, then took that sun right out of the room again. But that's all right. I saw my shadow.
That's what's up. That's so kind of you.
Yeah, so those are the people. Of course, Impact and Reggie and them over there at Impact, who have allowed me to do some very expressive, very great shows, be part of some great stuff over there culturally and personally and things like that. So I've been lucky enough to have outlets where not only can tell other people's stories with us included in them, and I mean us as a culture of Black people, but not and then tell our stories ourselves a little more clearly so people can understand. And right now I'm in an Emmett Till phase because we just did the Emmett Till thing, and a lot of people are messing with his story right now, and I'm getting kind of defensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are stories coming out of the woodworks about this, and this is not a story that I think should be treated like it is. I'm on a mission to remind people of the trauma that this event has caused, and that people are carrying around with them still today. And the only reason that is because we're having the same conversations 55, 60 years later. So if we can't change the conversation, we're going to keep it prominent. So right now I'm on an Emmett Till thing.
Are you gonna get that? How about that opera, right?
That's one of them, yes.
Yeah.
And the other one was a musical that I came across about 3 years ago. I came across a musical about it, and you know, it's just me personally. You know, you can have some license with some things, you know, but some things just need to be told because of the weight that it carries. It doesn't really need to be enhanced in any other kind of way other than telling that story, because it's still the same story we're telling today. Yeah. So, you know, good intentions, probably.
I mean,
I don't know.
sure.
I mean, I don't know. I don't, you know, I just don't see the connection, and from the point of view and things like that. So there's
that's the bigger thing for me.
Yes, point of view
is the point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a bold move to take a stance like that.
And to get support, you know, and produce. Like, so you got people who should be, you know, giving you appropriate feedback about your intentions as any kind of writer. And then if you don't have that, then, you know, whoever you pitch this to should have like some serious challenges about what you're bringing forth. And that the fact that particularly this opera has gotten through all of that to, you know, it's odd to say.
It's very odd. I think I was invited to read a musical. I don't know if were you part of that? You weren't part of that one, Elana? No.
No.
I mainly went to find out what the heck was going on, because when you get Till the musical, now personally to me, Till is the first story I know that I learned that told me I was a Black person. That I was 5 years old. I knew of Till before I knew of Martin Luther King. So Till. So when I hear things like this, I'm like, we don't need the water in this drink. This drink is strong enough as it is. It don't need no dilution, whatever. You know, Philip Van Leer used to tell me to plant your feet and tell the story. His is one of the stories. I just think you need to plant your feet and tell the story.
Yeah.
That's one of the ones. That's it. That's my preaching.
No, I love it. That list of props is the most extensive and thorough, and I'm so excited to have it air. I don't have any props to add today for this time around. I want to let that be. You have anything people should watch when this comes out later, like in June or something? I don't know when this is happening. May, June. Like, is there anything you'll need to promote around the time?
Richard III opens May 19th, produced by Promethean Theater Company at the Factory Theater on Howard. Never been there before. But definitely the Emmett Till Trial in the Delta will be appearing on Roku's NBC channel. We did that at the DuSable Museum last week. We did it live, and we went into the studio a week before that and recorded it, and they're going to chop it up and include it in Marion, what is her name? Marion, but she's doing a 3-part series, and one of the parts is going to be our presentation of the trial, our reenactment of the trial, which I think almost 500 people came to see on 2 days last weekend. You know, one of the first outings a lot of people had, you know, for theater. So that was great. Had 3 auditions this week. I hope y'all see me on TV before the summer comes. So I won't jinx them by telling them where they are, but of what they were. But it was nice getting 2 or 3 phone calls this week, after this pandemic time. And plus I really been blessed about been working a lot during the past 3 years with a lot of online and stuff, reenactments and rehashing of old plays and bringing them to audio, and so I'm very blessed about the industry getting me through this pandemic. Thank you, co-people. Let me be somebody else for a couple of hours instead of just being me all the time, because man, I can't stand me all the time. Not all the time. So yeah, the industry's been a great blessing for me during this pandemic. It's a great way to get through it.
You need a part 2. We have a part 2 for you.
No. Oh, yeah. Well, when I get some showmans, we'll go through a.
Oh yeah, that's right. We'll have you back when you get a show.
Give me a couple of years.
We'll see. It ain't gonna take that long. We'll see. We hope you enjoyed our conversation today with Darren Jones and that it gives deeper insight into the art of understudying.
To send us a question or give us a suggestion of somebody we should interview, you can email us at understudypodcast@gmail.com.
Or hit us up at UnderstudyPod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
We want to thank all of our Patreon subscribers, especially Stanley Sava, Marcella Huff, and Andrew Sava.
If you want to support the show, head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/understudypod.
Our theme song and music are by the great Laura McKenzie.
Our episodes are edited by Scott and produced by Scott and me, Elana.
Thank you so much for listening. If you liked it, please tell all your friends and do all the things on the social medias.
Yeah, like hit the subscribe button everywhere you see it. And if you hated it, tell your enemies and stuff.
Yeah, sneak onto their computers and then subscribe from their computers.
And delete all of the other podcasts they have, so just when they hit play, this is what they hear.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Bye.